Welcome back to Dark Love Psychology. Have you ever felt completely ignored by a woman? No replies, no explanation, just silence? That silence isn't random. It's psychological. Today, I'll explain why some women use the silent treatment, what's happening psychologically, and how it affects men emotionally. More importantly, you'll learn how to respond without losing your power. Chapter 1. Silent treatment is emotional communication. At first, you might not even notice it. The conversation just stops. But as the hours stretch into days, a heavy, anxious feeling begins to settle in. You start replaying your last conversation, scrutinizing every word. This is the intended effect. Because silence is not the absence of communication. It is a very deliberate, powerful form of communication, just an indirect and often manipulative one. It's a strategic choice designed to transfer a feeling of discomfort from them to you. While healthy communication is a dialogue, the silent treatment is a monologue delivered through absence. It forces you to fill the void with your own anxieties, doubts, and worst-case scenarios. This isn't a simple pause, it's a statement. A person who communicates directly and maturely would use their words to express their needs. Instead of resorting to silence, they would say, "I'm hurt by what you said. I'm angry, and I need some space to cool down." Or, "I'm feeling insecure, and I want reassurance that we're okay." This approach is vulnerable and requires emotional courage. The silent treatment, however, avoids all that. It sends a very different coded message. Silence says, "Figure it out. You should know what you did wrong." It also says, "Feel what I feel. I'm hurting, so now you must hurt too." And most powerfully, it says, "Chase me. Prove your love by breaking down my walls and pursuing me until I decide to respond." This dynamic puts you in a state of constant emotional labor. You send a normal, everyday message. You see she's read it. Then, nothing. No reply for hours, which turn into days. The silence is a vacuum, and it forces you to think, to worry, and to emotionally engage with the problem, all while she remains passive. You become the sole active participant in a one-sided drama, trying to solve a puzzle without any clues. This isn't a partnership. It's a power play, and you've been cast in the role of the pursuer, tasked with restoring a connection that she has unilaterally severed. Chapter 2. Silence creates emotional power imbalance. In any relationship, a subtle dance of power is always at play. It's not about dominance, but about emotional influence. And in this dance, the person who reacts less often holds more power. Think of it as emotional leverage. When one person remains composed and still, while the other becomes emotionally expressive or agitated, the balance of power instinctively shifts. The calm party appears grounded and in control, not just of their own emotions, but of the entire dynamic. This composure becomes a source of strength, making the other person feel unsettled and compelled to react, often from a position of weakness. When she uses silence, she's deploying a sophisticated psychological strategy that works on 3 levels. First, it immediately removes her emotional availability. The open channel of communication you once relied on is suddenly closed. This creates a void, a sudden absence of the validation and feedback you're accustomed to. Second, this void forces you to seek reconnection. Human beings are wired for connection. When it's abruptly taken away, our instinct is to restore it. You'll start replaying conversations, analyzing your own behavior, and desperately trying to bridge the gap she has created. Finally, this entire process shifts control to her without a single word of confrontation. She doesn't need to argue or make demands. Her withdrawal alone makes you the one who must work to repair the situation. Psychologically, this taps into one of our deepest primal fears. Humans are social creatures who fear the loss of connection, often more than direct conflict. An argument, even a heated one, is still a form of engagement. It signifies that the other person is invested enough to fight. Silence, however, signals disengagement. It communicates indifference, which can feel like a form of emotional abandonment. Your brain interprets this absence of signal as a critical threat to the relationship, triggering a cascade of stress hormones and a powerful, instinctual drive to resolve the uncertainty. Consider the difference. If she argues with you, you have something to work with. You can use logic, present evidence, and engage in a debate. But when she stays silent, you're left fighting a ghost. There are no words to refute, no arguments to counter. You're left alone with your own thoughts, which quickly spiral into a vortex of uncertainty, anxiety, and a desperate sense of urgency. Her silence puts you in frantic motion, mentally and emotionally, while she remains perfectly still, observing and holding all the cards. You are reacting to a void, and in doing so, you cede all your emotional power. Chapter 3. Silent treatment. Triggers anxiety. Bonding. This is one of the most counterintuitive and powerful mechanisms in a toxic relationship. It's a process where negative experiences, like being ignored, don't push you away. Instead, they pull you closer, creating a powerful, confusing bond rooted in anxiety. To understand how this happens, we need to look at the brain's primal response to social connection and rejection. Our brains are wired for community, and when that connection is abruptly severed, it triggers a profound biological alarm. When you're given the silent treatment, your brain doesn't distinguish it from physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that registers a physical injury, becomes highly active. Your body enters a state of fight or flight. The unpredictability of their affection, warm one day, gone the next, causes a constant, low-grade panic. Your system is flooded with the stress hormone cortisol. You feel agitated, you can't focus, and your mind races, replaying every last interaction, desperately searching for what you did wrong. This isn't just you being overly emotional. It's a biological survival response to perceived abandonment. This intense anxiety creates the first part of a powerful emotional loop. Then, just when the stress becomes almost unbearable, the manipulator returns. This reconnection isn't a resolution, it's a reset button for the cycle. The moment they re-engage, your brain releases a flood of dopamine, the same neurochemical associated with reward and pleasure. This isn't a gentle spark, it's a tidal wave of relief washing over you. The pain stops, the anxiety dissolves. This powerful chemical cocktail creates an addictive cycle, intense pain followed by intense relief. Over time, your brain starts to crave that relief, and by extension, it craves the person who provides it. Imagine it. After days of agonizing silence, your phone finally buzzes. It's a message from her. It doesn't say, "I'm sorry" or "let's talk." It just says, "Hey, that's all it takes." Instantly, the cortisol recedes and the dopamine surges. That overwhelming feeling of relief is so potent that your brain misinterprets it. It doesn't feel like the end of a manufactured crisis. It feels like closeness. It feels like safety. It feels like love. You're not bonding with the person. You're bonding with the relief from the pain they caused. This is anxiety bonding, and it's how the cycle keeps you trapped. Chapter 4. Silence avoids vulnerability and accountability. Open communication requires vulnerability, admitting feelings, explaining boundaries, taking responsibility. Silence avoids all of that. It protects the ego while still influencing the other person emotionally. Instead of saying, "You hurt me when you said that," she disappears, forcing you to apologize without fully understanding why. Chapter 5. Silence is often a test. Some women use silence to test how much you care, how quickly you chase. Whether you lose emotional control, your response determines her perception of your value. If you send multiple messages, apologies, explanations, the test confirms he's emotionally dependent. Chapter 6. Why men react so strongly to silence. Men often seek resolution through action and logic. Silence removes both. It creates uncertainty, lack of closure, loss of direction. The brain fills silence with worst-case assumptions, intensifying emotional stress. Chapter 7. The strongest response to silent treatment. The most powerful response is calm consistency, not chasing. One clear message is enough. I'm open to talking when you're ready. Then stop. No pressure, no repeated texts, no emotional pleading. This response shows confidence, removes her leverage, restores balance. Silent treatment only works when it controls your emotions. When you stay calm, grounded, and self-directed, silence loses its power. If you want to understand deeper psychological dynamics like this, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need help. Thanks for watching until the end. See you in the next video.